well in your life and business by eliminating what we're here for today, which is the perpetual debilitating impact of high functioning anxiety on your brain, body, mind, emotions, and behavior. So this is me, I'm Paul Wood, the founder of Rise.Rest and the Norfolk Anxiety Clinic. I've been an anxiety therapist for over 10 years. Over the past 3 years, I've moved away completely from traditional therapy, and I now only consult and coach business owners, professionals who suffer from high functioning anxiety. My philosophy is that anxiety is the main causal factor in 90% of the problems in your life, whether you perceive it that way or not. Today we're going to go through and explain how anxiety is affecting you in so many more ways that you do not recognize. But the beauty about that is when you see that in yourself, when you truly calculate the true cost, it enables you to have the motivation and the commitment to finally do something about it. This is my life. That's 20 years of my life in 50 words. 18, confusion, stress, anxiety, pain. Marines, strong, super fit. War, post-traumatic stress disorder. Heartbreak, loneliness, debt, despair, homeless, unloved, alcohol dependent, no purpose. Meditation, mindfulness, therapist training, thriving practice, love, marriage, happy home, baby 1, baby 2, exhausted wife, worn down, burnt out, autoimmune disease, temporary blindness, ME, bedridden, near death, neurologist. Pain and suffering, 3 years recovery, brain training, new life, new me, new world. And I am sure that you have been through the mill as well. If you're not, I'm sure you've been through your challenges. I'm sure you've been through things that have led you to be here right now. And today the purpose of it is for us to outline a new path, a new direction, outline the way forward so you can move forward from any of the debilitating symptoms that are affecting you right now in your life. And not just forward in a way where you reduce them, but forward in a way where you finally conquer them. Now, 85 years is a long time to live, isn't it? And the idea that we can constantly manage our symptoms, manage them from day to day, go up and go down throughout our whole life, it's just ridiculous. The amount of mental, emotional, physical energy people burn is just far too much. So we're here today to talk about anxiety, but not the emotion, the effect it has on your life. Now, these are the effects of high functioning anxiety on your body. Just some of headache, muscle tension or pain, chest pain, fatigue, change in sex drive, stomach upset, sleep problems. The effect of high functioning anxiety on your mood, anxiety, obviously, irritability or anger, restlessness, lack of motivation or focus, feeling overwhelmed, sadness or depression. The effects on your behavior, overeating, undereating, angry outbursts, drug or alcohol abuse, tobacco use, social withdrawal, exercising less often, has a tremendous impact on every single area of our life. And what does that create? What's the combined effect of that? Well, I'm sure you probably already know. It creates incongruent success, first of all, which what I mean by that is it means you fail at one area of your life because of the stresses and the anxiety and the limits that it places on you. So maybe you'll do well in one area of your life at the expense of another, never allowing you to succeed at all areas of your life in a way that's right for you. It leads to severe self-sabotage. Anxiety and stress affect your behavior on such a deep level that it's impossible to manage. It's literally impossible to navigate away from. You either recover from it or you don't. But if you don't recover from it, then the effect is tremendous. It leads to chronic insecurity because anxiety, strangely enough, what it does is it stimulates the part of your brain where all of your deep-seated insecurities and fears are placed, in your amygdala. And what it leads to is when we live a very stressed, anxious life, it means that part of your brain becomes overstimulated and it always brings those thoughts to the forefront of your mind. So if you found that when you're in a manically anxious state or a tremendously more anxious or stressed state, it makes you more insecure in your relationships, makes you more insecure about yourself, makes you more insecure speaking to people, makes you more insecure dealing with the business owner, it makes you more insecure in every single area of your life. It reinforces all those things. It's self-reinforcing. It's a weak leader syndrome where you really cannot be the leader that you need, that your business needs, that your family needs, that your children needs in a way that's really accessing your full potential. And who pays the price? Who pays the price from all of these effects that we spoke about? All these effects on your behavior, on your mood, and on your body. Well, for me, it was me that paid the price. My health paid the price, my mental health paid the price, my emotional health paid the price, my bank balance paid the price, everything paid the price. So I probably paid half the price and my children and my wife had to pay the other half. Because to be honest, it doesn't put us in the best state, does it? Having any of those problems, maybe in our 20s or our 30s, we can manage them. Yet we have the physical health that we can still get through and still do the things that we want to. What happens is, over the long term or even the medium term, it's simply impossible. You cannot get the best out of yourself in life. You cannot congruently succeed in your life while stress, anxiety is continuously bringing up all those symptoms in your life and leading you toward a downward spiral. The traits of high-functioning anxiety: a powerful need to be busy and in control, high-achieving and perfectionistic, driven by details and order in a desperate attempt to stay calm from racing thoughts, worry and the fear that can invade every ounce of your mind and body, an overthinker with a tendency to persevere and stew and dwell on every problem. The path of high-functioning anxiety. So anxiety is something that slowly builds reactivity, rewiring your brain over decades. Now, whenever people look at stress, whenever people look at anxiety, they often think, well, the effect it's having me at the moment is purely an emotional effect, where how I feel is the primary effect, and that could not be further from the truth. The stress and anxiety you feel today is not created by today, it's created by years, months, or decades of you rewiring your brain in that direction, which is now causing your brain to be more and more and more reactive. Lowering your brain health, your mental health, your emotional well-being so slowly that most people I speak to never see it coming until they finally walk off the cliff edge, which is often the time they contact me. But before then, they don't see it coming. They perceive that in their 20s, they can manage it the same as their 30s, in their 40s, in their 50s. We simply cannot do that. It's just not possible. It's continuously rewiring your brain, moving your brain in a direction that does not support you being able to live the life that you want to live. Leading to insomnia, depression, divorce, illness. It can lead to all kinds of physical, emotional, behavioral problems in your life that just do not allow you to live your life in a way that's really fulfilling for you. And as I said before, even if you can handle it in your 20s, doesn't mean the effects will suddenly, cause you more problems in your 30s. It could mean it in your 40s or 50s, but at some point, the cost always has to be paid. Neuroscience. So neuroscience today has really taught us about how our brain functions in a way that gives us a more practical perspective on how to get you from where you are today with any symptoms that are limiting you in your life, whether it's insomnia, whether it's chronic anxiety, whether it's you feeling uncomfortable, whether it's your mind racing at 100 miles an hour, whether it's physiological symptoms that have come from anxiety and stress, leading to your body, leading to certain tics that you've got, leading to muscle spasms, leading to palpitations, leading to your face blushing all the while. The many, many different problems that it can have. Why does it have that? Why does it cause these problems? The reason it does is because of this, because there's 3 different control centers in your brain. You have the frontal lobe, the limbic system that has the amygdala, and the reptilian stem. And realistically, what happens is these are different control centers that make you into a different human being. Depending on which control center is activated at once, makes you a very different person. And within the range of human beings, different people allow different control centers to be their habitual control center that they use on a day-to-day basis. Now that's going to dramatically affect how you feel, think, and act more than anything else in your life. And the problem with stress and anxiety is it means that really puts us in a place where this part of our brain, the reptilian stem, and this part of our brain, the limbic system, takes more and more control over us, and it does not support us in a way that's right for you in your life. Now, what happens at this point really is cognitive dissonance, where people begin to take those first steps with me, and you begin to see in yourself that maybe high-functioning anxiety is not something you can manage. Maybe it's something that you have to recover from to live the life that you want to live. But it's quite confusing, isn't it? Because we can look around and say, well, Paul, everyone's stressed. Paul, everyone feels these things. Paul, everyone's the same as me. Yeah. But the truth is, stress really leads to a certain point, a key point where it creates a feedback loop. Yeah, so if you're suffering from high-functioning anxiety now in your life, it's leading you down a path where stress and anxiety now creates more stress and anxiety, which rewires your brain further to create even more stress. Does that make sense? For example, imagine you're moving, you're living your life, you're doing all the things that you want to, and then suddenly stress reaches a point where you can't sleep. And as you can't sleep, you wake up, and obviously insomnia leads to hyperactivity to create more anxiety. So it creates more anxiety, and you find it more challenging everything at work because you're exhausted. You find your children more challenging, your wife more challenging, which leads to more strain in your relationships at home, and it leads to more strain at work because you may make mistakes because you haven't slept well, and so on and so forth. So all these pressures add up massively, and then lead someone from a place where maybe they were getting on fine at work and everything was fine in their family life to suddenly a month later, which is often when they call me, everything in their life is literally falling apart. They're on the verge of losing their business, their marriage, their mental health, their emotional well-being. They literally cannot cope. Yeah, and often people may speak to me when they're, a few weeks before that, when they've seen the direction they're going in, and that's enough. But it can quickly go downhill, which is something often people do not realize. We all tend to look at it in terms of our brain will respond the same way now as it did 5 years ago, a year ago, 10 years ago. Well, it simply will not. It only gets worse. So limiting beliefs that are factually inaccurate. So we have certain ideas about stress, certain ideas about anxiety, but these ideas are not based on the reality of how these things affect our brain, our body, our behavior, our mind, our emotions. They're really just based on cultural norms, cultural perspectives. For example, let me give you an idea about anxiety. So before MRI scanning machines came out in the 1980s, anxiety was still looked at as something related directly to your childhood, and you had to go through decades of psychotherapy in order to try and resolve it. Whereas when MRI scanning machines came out and they're able to scan your brain and see the direct, distinct changes in the amygdala, in that part of your brain, as it increased in electrical activity and as it increased in size, and then see what practices, habits, choices people can make in their life that directly reduce it, they found that much of the approach we had before was poor, ineffective, and didn't work. And they've now found through hundreds of studies over the past 20 years specifically what people need to do to guarantee improvement and to guarantee that they recover in a way that's right for them. So as we look around, we see anxiety has been normalized. We see people and we get caught in that kind of stigma, caught in that belief system of management. We think, well, Paul, I've got a busy day today. I've got to, see all these appointments. I've got to get with my wife in the evening. I've got to look after my children. I've got so many things to do. 15 hours, I'm going to be exhausted by the end of the day. I've just got too much to do. And because of that, we focus on managing and getting through the day, which is something we have to do. But management does not lead to recovery. Management leads to us doing things today to cope with today, but it doesn't guarantee that tomorrow will improve. Yeah? So having that perspective, having that mindset probably means that your anxiety and stress will only get worse over the medium term and the long term. It often leads in as well to the mindset of self-sacrifice is noble, perceiving that we're noble enduring this pain rather than recovering from it. Yeah? So it causes so many fires in our life, fires in our relationships, fires at work, fires with our children, and we're in tremendous pain, tremendous stress, tremendous anxiety, probably underslept as well, probably worn out. Yeah? And from this experience, we may feel self-sacrifice is noble. We may feel that we're doing well in ourselves, we're doing the best we can, but even if it is noble, it's still not moving you in the right direction. So it really creates three different paradigms for you in your life. The first is the prisoner you. When the limbic system takes too much control over your life, it puts you in a prisoner-like state where that part of your brain, the amygdala, tremendously influences your behavior, tremendously influences your feelings, tremendously influences your brain, your body in a way that you can't even consciously really comprehend when you're within it. And it leads to us living a limited life, a life where there's things that we want to achieve, but they always come at the expense of something else. So maybe you really enjoy your work, but it's coming at the expense of your emotional well-being and your happiness. Maybe you really enjoy doing other things in your life, and it's coming at the expense of your family or your children. Maybe it's coming at the expense of your physical body, and you're gaining more fat, becoming less healthy, and your energy is declining. And the second is the stubborn you, the reptilian stem. The more that part of your brain begins to take over, it leads to you really being stuck in the same direction that you're moving forward in. And the worse it gets, the more you double down and continue in that direction, thinking that at some point you will get out of it. Yeah, when often it doesn't happen. Often what happens is when people move in this direction, the more stressed they become, the more it has negative effects on the way they feel, they think, their emotions, their relationships, and their business. The more they double down and just think they can work harder and push through and plow through. But it just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. All it leads to eventually is them reaching a key point where they fall off a cliff and they can no longer ignore those problems. Then there's the epicue, the frontal lobe, the part of your brain which is the most modern part of the human brain. It's the part of your brain which is the best part of your brain, the part of your brain which really allows you to get the best out of yourself, allows you to use your full intelligence, your full capabilities, your full consciousness, and be the best person you can be. But there's a massive, massive problem with this. The problem is stress automatically wires you to be the stubborn you, automatically wires you to be the prisoner you, living in scarcity, and it wires you to not be able to access the part of your brain that really makes you the most fulfilled in your life. So you can achieve things, you can do lots of different things moving in these directions, but what you cannot ever do is achieve congruent success. And what I mean by that is success in your business, success within yourself, so your emotional well-being, your mental fitness is very high, success in your relationships, so that you've got wonderful relationships with your wife and with your children, and success in the balance of your life, so the balance of your life actually works and you're getting everything out of your life that fulfills your psychological needs. Stress, anxiety always creates self-sacrifice. So it's really moving you forward in the best version of you, so you get the best behavior, thoughts, feelings, relationships, creativity, emotional well-being, so everything about you aligns with your goals, whichever they are. So it allows you to get the very best out of yourself in a way that's right for you. Whereas stress does do this over the short term, but there's obviously a long-term price to pay. So we get confused with the trigger and the cause of things, don't we? Yeah. So we look at our life today and say, fuck, my relationships are stagnant, difficult, my wife's on at me all the while, the children, they've got so many needs, it's so difficult, business, the clients I'm just not getting on with in the way that I want to, I'm not earning the money that I want, I'm gaining too much weight, I'm drinking too much alcohol, whatever it is. And we see those things and we think, those things are really the cause of the problems in my life. But they're really triggers, where stress, anxiety is rewiring your brain in a way that you cannot get the best out of yourself. And because you are not at your best, over time it guarantees that it causes so many different problems in your life. And as one problem comes up that triggers your anxiety and causes you more anxiety and rewires your brain further in a negative position, the downward spiral only gets worse. So my perspective is it's never your relationships, it's never your business, it's never your children, it's never you not being disciplined enough. It's none of these things. It's just you not getting the best out of yourself because your brain is moving in the wrong direction. So anxiety and emotion, which is what most people focus on. Do you feel anxious? Yes or no? They focus on the emotion, but they don't focus on the deeper physiological, mental and emotional changes, which is what we're talking about today. The changes that only get worse over time, the changes that are so pervasive and subtle that we cannot manage them, we can't mask them, we can ignore them and not really notice them, but we don't really notice them getting, it's something that's so pervasive that we're never really aware of it. And often I speak to people and if they've just got divorced or if they've just had a business gone bankrupt, they never ever see the connection between that and the stress and the anxiety that they experienced for years leading up to that event. So it's understanding that there's no limit to how your brain can be wired. Your brain can be wired for more reactivity. So you're more reactive to every event that happens in your life, creating more stress, creating a further downward spiral of negative symptoms in your life. Or it can create for more responsiveness, where the frontal lobe, that part of your brain, you access more and more in your everyday life, making you feel calm, connected, grounded, strong, confident, powerful, enabling you to get more out of yourself and enabling you to consciously make choices in your life, which is something that most people do not do. So there's no limit. How your brain works is every single day the connections, the synapses are getting stronger and stronger in whichever direction you're moving in. So if you're moving in a direction that's making you more anxious, it can only get worse. I've spoke to people who over 40 years it's got worse every single year, and they've always thought it cannot get any worse, and it always has. And it's the same in the opposite direction. It can make you more immune to anxiety. So imagine now an experience at work or at home that would trigger your anxiety, maybe make you unable to sleep, maybe make you feel inadequate, upset, frustrated, disappointed within yourself. So those feelings, sensations and the symptoms that trigger created can only get worse in that direction. In the other direction, you can get to the point where you're completely immune to them and your brain does not release cortisol and adrenaline when any of those triggers happen. You feel grounded, you feel strong, and you feel powerful in yourself. So the trigger isn't the cause, but often we focus on the trigger and blame the trigger because it's more apparent in the moment, but it isn't really the cause of our problems. So now if your wife says something to you and you feel overly insecure, frustrated, angry at her, and you find it really difficult to control those emotions, it's probably not her. It's probably how your brain is being wired at the moment. So mental health, obviously it's self-reinforcing, where the worse it becomes, the more mental health challenge it creates, and it just goes round and round and round in that circle, self-reinforcing the very problems which we're finding challenging in our life. So the 3 brains create dramatic changes in your mental health depending on which part of your brain you make more dominant over time. The more dominant the green part of your brain, the reptilian stem, becomes, the more you're going to be reactive. The more you're reactive like a 10 million year old reptile which purely works on its instincts and doesn't really think things through consciously, and just reacts to stress every single day, hoping that it's moving in the right direction. The more the red part takes control of you, the more anxious and stressed you'll be, and then the more behaviors you'll put in place each day to cope with those things, but not actually ever recover from them. The more the blue part, the frontal lobe, takes control of you activate in your life, the more you get the best out of yourself. The intelligent things that you know to do, you actually do. The habits that you want in your life, you actually follow. Your behaviors align with what you think is the right thing to do. The more you're able to support and help people in your life, rather than be there creating reacting to them and making the situation worse, the more you'll be able to consciously move boldly in the direction of earning more money and thriving in your business, because you're able to do that without fear dominating your brain. Why, Paul? Why is it this happens anyway? It doesn't make any sense, does it? Well, the main reason is this. The main reason is because your brain is wired in a way that stress is really only something you're exposed to experience when physical danger arises. Yeah. So if a physical danger arises, stress, adrenaline, and cortisol cause your sympathetic nervous system to engage, which causes numerous physiological change in your body, which makes you more aware, hyper aware, to respond to the physical danger. Whether you're going to freeze, i.e. stay still and hope the animal won't see you, or even if the person attacking you, if you stay still, hope you won't antagonize the person and they'll walk away. Whether you're going to flee, i.e. run away straight away, gives you the blood, the sugar goes into your blood, the blood goes to your muscles and allows you to do that. Whether you're going to fight the animal. The problem is this, though. The problem is this: that state that it puts our body in is really a state that wears down your body. Yeah, that wears down your mind, that wears down your emotions. That isn't actually healthy for you. It's your body's emergency. It's your body's red button. So your body presses that red button in a life or this situation and creates all kinds of physiological changes that are actually bad for your health, bad for your mental health, and bad for your body, because it perceives, well, all that's important is surviving, which is true. And the problem is nowadays is that our stress, our anxiety does not come from physical dangers, which is where all the problems come from. It comes from illusory danger that doesn't actually exist, egoic danger, psychological danger, danger about am I high enough status. And this type of danger, obviously puts our bodies in a place where our body is doing something that directly damages us and doesn't support us. So your body's releasing stress hormones to create all these physical changes, your body's pressing the emergency red button, but it does not help me if my wife is angry or frustrated. If I have huge amounts of adrenaline flowing through me and I get angry and frustrated as well, it doesn't help, does it? It doesn't help me to run my business successfully. It doesn't help me to do anything that I need to in my life, being continuously flooded by stress hormones. All it does is over time massively wears you down, massively lowers your performance, and doesn't help you to succeed in the way you want to. But over the short term, people can see, well, stress can be motivating, which is true, but you cannot be motivated by stress over the length of your life because there will be a massive cost to pay. So the 99% or the 10%, realistically your brain can help you 99% supporting you every single day in your life, creating the epic version of you, or even 10% where most of the time your brain is sabotaging you. Most of the time your brain is letting go of stress hormones that are changing your physiology in a way it doesn't support you, that are changing your brain in a way it doesn't support you, that's releasing hormones that don't support you, that are limiting you in every single way. They're stopping you being able to sleep, stopping you being able to enjoy pleasure with your partner, stopping you being able to feel connected and grounded in yourself, stopping you feeling happy and strong in yourself, and leading to a place as well where certain emotions on the sympathetic side of your nervous system, like anger, frustration, all these types of emotions become more dominant in your life. Yeah, because that's obviously how your body's wired to respond. So I looked at Andy Murray, who's currently #1 in the world at this moment in time. I always think, could he do it alone? Could he do it alone? So if he got rid of his 10 coaches, his 10 support staff, all the people that help him, do all different kind of things for him, make decisions for him, help him become more efficient, help him with accountability, help him to follow certain processes each day. So how would he be if he just woke up in the morning and said, what do I feel like doing today, and I'll just do that? How would he actually be? Would he succeed, or would he not succeed in his life? It's a question, isn't it? It's a question to ask. And I often think that the thing that has made him succeed is that he's had people coach him to guarantee improvement. You're saying, Paul, well, you're a coach. Obviously you're going to say that. But it is true in the fact that the direction you're moving forward in is likely to be the direction you continue in. And if you continue that direction for another 6 months or another year, it's not for me to say whether it leads you to a point where you've hit a cliff, but being the intelligent person that you are and looking into the resource that you're looking into, you're probably already aware that there's a better direction for you to move forward in. And my perspective is, without accountability and efficiency, it really is a toss of the coin whether you'll do it or not. You may do it, but you may not. And with something that is this vitally important in every area of your life, it's never ever worth the risk. And when you move in this direction, it's not a matter of just reducing the negative symptoms that affect you in your life. It's understanding that that is literally just a platform. It's just a platform. As you reduce those symptoms, it's not just reducing negative behaviors, but it also, on the opposite end, it cultivates good behaviors. It's not just reducing negative emotional states, but also it cultivates positive emotional states. And in every area of your life, this is what it does. So often people get transfixed on, I have insomnia, I have palpitations, I have all these different symptoms. They just focus on reducing those, but not understanding that when you've reduced them, it takes you in the opposite direction, where everything is cultivated in the positive direction as well. Anxious uncertainty, creating conflict with your wife or children, stopping you from thriving in your business and really enjoying it in a way that you want to. Now, for many of us, anxiety, high functioning anxiety, is the main causal factor for every problem in your life. So whether it's making your life 10% more difficult, 20% more difficult, 80% more difficult, or 1,000% more difficult, because at a point in my life, it probably made it 10,000% more difficult, because it accumulated to a point where it destroyed almost everything in my life. So my question to you is, have you had enough? Have you finally had enough? Can you see in yourself now that it's never been a matter of managing the problem and hopefully it'll go away at some point? It's really a matter of recovering from it and then using that foundation as a platform to take everything to a higher level in your life. Don't look at it just from the pessimistic angle of reducing negative symptoms. What about the opposite side, where you could build yourself, get the best out of yourself, so your behavior, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, your brain is supporting you to thrive in your life rather than sabotaging you on a day-to-day basis, leading to congruent success in your life, success in your relationships, success in your finances, success in your body, success in your mind, success in your emotions, and balance in your life. So my pet hate is men who seemingly do everything right but fail in life because their high-functioning anxious brain sabotages their success. This is my pet hate. This is the thing that frustrates me the most. There's so many wonderful, kind, loving, hardworking, successful people I've met over the years, but frustratingly, often they've reached a point where their success has led to massive failure because they haven't done the one thing that's the most important thing, which is take care of themselves. So with this is for people, this is for you if you've seen the long-term costs associated with continuing the direction you're continuing in. You can see the effect it's kind of on your relationship, maybe leading to divorce or continuous conflict, which is often even worse than divorce. The impact it's having on your finances, maybe it's stopping you getting to a higher level. Maybe it could lead to bankruptcy, or it probably will if you get divorced. The effect it's having on your emotional well-being, maybe you're just not happy every single day. Maybe it's leading you towards depression, or you're already at depression, and it's just incredibly frustrating that you're a person that's worked so hard, but you don't have any of the emotional benefit from that hard work. Maybe it's influencing decision-making in a negative way, leading to poor choices in your habits, or overeating, overdrinking, or maybe just losing confidence in yourself that you can't do the thing that you want to, hurting your confidence, and that, importantly, limiting your self-esteem, because it does, doesn't it? Men's self-esteem is generally linked to our productivity, and we can focus on one area of our life and pretend that all the others are fine. But realistically, we only feel true self-esteem when we've got congruent success in our life, when we're succeeding in all areas, at the same time. So in truth, you have to be selfish in life, do you not? Selfish is a word with lots of negative connotations, but in truth, selfish is important. Because if you don't put you first, if you don't thrive internally, emotionally, then your family and business will not thrive. But if you put yourself first, then your family and business will congruently flow from that direction. So it's something you've seen in your life, have you not? So if you want to speak with me to talk about how we can take your life to a next level and how we can move forward in a way that is right for you, I'd like to offer you to book with me now a free initial consultation where we'll go through all the things we spoke about today and lay the foundation for you in your life moving forward, so that you can get not a theoretical understanding but a practical perspective about what you have to do today, step by step, to get yourself back on track, to get your life back on track, so that all the negative symptoms in your life reduce week by week, every week, until they're no longer there, and then use that foundation to build forward and really create the best version of yourself. So this is for you if anxiety is stopping you from thriving in all areas of your life. You can see in yourself that you're capable of far more without it. If it's something that's damaging your relationships and you've had enough with the conflict, had enough with the arguments, had enough with the cost of that in your life. If it's making you reactive and angry, I hate reactivity more than anything when it makes you reactive. When you lose control of yourself, when anyone can push your buttons and trigger you. Or if it's making you overly anxious and overwhelmed all of the time. Is it creating more stress triggers in your life by the day? Stress triggers that are reinforcing the stress, and it's just going round and round in that paradigm. If it's not manageable over the long term, this isn't for people who just want to reduce the symptoms and then go back to their everything as it was before. It's not what it's about at all. This is people who have seen the true long-term cost and want to recover from these symptoms and then take their life to a much higher level. In 2018, sacrificing yourself is never a price worth paying. You might have said to yourself over and over and over again, just business is stressful. It's normal to have anxiety in these situations. It's normal to have anxiety trying to do all the things that I want to do. It may be normal within your friends or the people you know. It may not be, but we never really know how people feel, do we? So you don't really know. And we can often project our feelings onto other people. But regardless if it is or it isn't, it's never a price worth paying. It's not something you have to. We don't live in a situation where there's no food for us to eat, which is a stressful situation, where we don't have any housing for our family and they're freezing cold, where we don't live in these types of situations nowadays. So stress is just never the optimum solution to any problem. It just makes everything worse. Osmosis proves that your emotional well-being will be the benchmark for your friends, family and employees. So you are the center of your life, whether you think you are or whether you aren't. So the idea that you can feel stressed and then you can help your family and business colleagues not feel stressed won't work. What will happen is the more stress you take on board, the more their brains will copy the way your brain is responding, and they'll feel more stress. For example, even when babies 6 months old look at pictures of different faces who've got different faces that have got different emotions on, what they found is the part of their brain responds, the amygdala makes them more anxious and stressed, activates their fight or flight response just by looking at a picture of a face where someone's angry. Just a picture, and it has that impact. So if you feel overly stressed and anxious, however much you repress it, every single person that you spend time with, you are allowing that part of their brain to get more reactive and more anxious as well. So the 12-week program, working with me for the next 12 weeks to stop coping and start thriving in your life. If you want to speak with me now, click on the link below, as I just said. And by the fact that you're here and you've watched this all the way to the end, I can guarantee that you're a person that has decided that you want to talk with me, has decided that you want to move forward in a way that's right for you, and that you really deserve more in your life, because that's what it's about, isn't it? So efficiency and accountability. Step 1, address all of the presenting underlying symptoms. So you want to reduce in frequency and intensity all of the symptoms that are affecting you in your life, whether your sleep's poor. So your sleep, for example, is one symptom. So your sleep improves, and as your sleep improves, you're doing things that your anxiety improves. Your anxiety improves, your sleep gets better. Then you find your relationships easier. As your relationships become easier, you feel more happy and contented. Therefore, you feel more fulfilled at work. Therefore, you make better choices, and it goes round and round and round. So often when people come and see me, they're in a negative downward spiral. And what we're doing initially is stopping that downward spiral, reducing all these negative symptoms so we can lay a foundation to move forward in your life. Resolve any underlying hidden inner resistance, which is something I could talk about for a long, long time, but just to get a simple understanding of it. Often we have irrational fears that create a certain resistance in ourselves that leads to continual stress and anxiety. It's not something I'll go into deep now, but it's just something to be aware of. Step 3, so we can build momentum as you improve week by week, every week. So your confidence improves so that you can see directly by the actions you are taking that all your experience is changing, that everything is improving, and it gives you the confidence to continue in the direction that's right for you. Step 4, the realization. Step 4 is when you've reached the point where the symptoms are reduced to the point where they have no effect on your life. You're feeling much stronger in every single way in your life. Your brain's supporting you rather than sabotaging you. And you can see in yourself, the realization is, if the king is not whole, the kingdom will lay in ruins. Now, this is true for all of us. It's knowing within ourselves. Often we think that, we can be completely worn out, tired, stressed to the hill, anxious, tired, frustrated, angry, bordering on acute anxiety, bordering on, deep depression. And, we're doing all this as a martyr to protect our family. When the reality is, if the king is not whole, the kingdom will lay in ruins. 85 years is a long time to live nowadays. And the idea that the center of you, your emotional being, your mental fitness, will not cause your entire life or key parts of your life to crumble into nothing over time is just ridiculous. For 85 years, you cannot manage poor mental health. You cannot manage anxiety for 85 years. You have to recover from it at some point, or eventually the cost will be tremendous. So it's about you, your emotional being, your mental fitness, understanding that is the most important foundation in your life, whichever value you have first. So say, Paul, my family is more important. Yep. And what's the best way to have a great family? For you to be at your best, so it's unbelievably easy for you to support them, love them, care for them, do the things that you want to. Yeah. What's the best way for you to have a great business? For you to be at your best, so that you're making your best decisions, so that you've got the energy to think clearly, so that you're building great relationships with all your clients, because you're feeling so good in yourself, strong in yourself, and powerful in yourself all of the while. Everything flows from you. So you're either creating in your life a limited or a limitless life. You are the glass ceiling of your life, and you are the thing that projects you to the heavens. You can't escape you, as I've said before. 85 years is such a long period of time. We all eventually pay the price. And the other half is paid by wives and children often as well, which is shit to hear, isn't it, for us men? Shit to hear, but the reality is true. So great, brilliant. This is the end. Thank you for listening to me all the way to the end. If you're still awake, which I hope you are. So what you need to do now is click on the link below, and you'll be able to book a consultation to speak to me, which I hope you're excited about, and we can go through everything that's been happening in your life. We can talk it through, we can evaluate it, and we can lay out a foundation and a way forward. That's not really managing your symptoms, it's not continuing in the same direction. It's really doing two things. So firstly, it's understanding that it's a practical, pragmatic approach for you to directly reduce all of these anxiety, stress-related symptoms that you're having, to begin to get the best out of yourself, to lay that foundation. When that foundation is laid, we then continue doing the same things that we did to get you to that point, to move you higher and higher and higher and higher. Yeah? So that your behaviors, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions all align with the things that you do want in your life. And you'll know when this happens, because your relationships will suddenly be 10 times easier. Your business, things will be much easier, and you'll have much more emotional fulfillment and enjoy them much more. You'll move from a place where you're living in scarcity, where there's continuous self-sabotage and everything's difficult, everything's challenging, to a place where everything flows much easier and much more capably and wonderfully for you in your life. Brilliant. That's the end. Well, I look forward to speaking to you very, very soon. Paul out.